Jeannette Baljeu, member of the European Parliament for the Dutch People's Party for Freedom and Democracy, and previously Regional Minister for Zuid-Holland and Vice Mayor of Rotterdam. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You've focused your work on building a sustainable and competitive single market, both sustainable and competitive. If you have a look at it, we probably can't have both to the degree that the European Union planned and had ambition. So will restricting the green policies that we're dealing with at the moment improve our competitiveness?
We have to take into account how business can be still competitive in these uncertain times. So that doesn't mean, in our opinion, that the goals, the sustainability goals, just go out of the window. The 2050 goals are there. But it is the way how to get there,
yes.
and then talk to business how to do that.
But it wasn't just a question. Wasn't it a mistake to make these green goals so ambitious? Because don't you think that the European Union and Europe in general had to pay political price for these ambitions, the rise of radicalism, and so on and so forth? It is a part of it, isn't it?
Well, it is difficult, of course, to take the people with us. This is where we have to look after. If energy prices go up, people don't like it. We have to take that into account. But I'm also working from the business perspective, and of course, it's also resulting the business profits or investment possibilities. And this is what we take now into consideration. How can we get the sustainability get into an economic viable position, because we still think that can be done. But we have to talk to business how it should be done, and not every 2 years maybe goals.
Perhaps talking is a little bit too late now. What I mean is that if it was a bit over-ambitious a goal to press for these green policies, then people lost faith in it, basically.
Well, I don't think in the long run it's too ambitious, because I think still people see what is happening outside. Climate is changing, and we have to look forward to that. And if we show that the sustainability business can be supportive to the economy, it can become a good economic, innovative way of doing business. But still, maybe the in-between goals, we have to look. Where can we change maybe a little bit?
It's about timing, not about substance?
Timing. Well, the end goals are there. It's about the way towards it. It's still 25 years, but I'm always saying for business, that's 3 investment decisions.
So realistically, how to strike a balance, a healthy balance between green goals and keeping Europe, keeping the European Union competitive with the United States or China, who don't care about our green goals?
China is also moving forward on the green goals, but let's keep it clear, simplification is key. This is what is the buzz in Brussels, of course. And simplification doesn't mean getting rid of the goals, but it means how can we get rid of all the bureaucracy for business? How can we help business to innovate? How can we help business to get permits, because it takes too long?
Right.
There's
how can we do
too
it?
much
How
administration.
can we do it?
Well, get lesser administration. This is what, at this moment, Brussels is doing a lot.
I beg your pardon, but it's a cliché. We've been talking about it for decades and decades and decades in the European Union, and it's still talking, isn't it?
Well, I'm pragmatic, and we see now with the Commission coming forward what we call the omnibuses, but it's such a difficult word. It is packages of getting deregulations. And that is very important, that they do this for certain sectors and certain ways to move forward on innovation and less administrative burden.
When you think about it practically, when will we be able to see the results of these packages, of these ideas?
Well, hopefully...
Of this talking?
Well, no, it should be more than talking. In the end, the business have to do the investment. I think 2026 will be the year that we see those packages really get finished, and there will be less administrative burden to the business. And I think that's very important, that the business have a certainty on where Brussels is going.
Many economists claim not only sustainability, not only green policies, but in a wider context, that Europe is falling behind in global economy, especially compared to China that we mentioned, or across the Atlantic and the United States. Do you believe we can actually regain the position of a global economic player, which we seem to be losing at the
Yes,
moment?
for sure we are losing at the moment. So yes, I still believe strongly in the capability of innovation. And we still see a lot of innovations in a lot of fields and sectors coming from Europe. The problem is we don't have the investment capacity. Businesses are moving to Canada or to Singapore to be as a startup grow. And this is where we have to keep the business in Europe and really look how we can help them make the investments here. We need a capital market, for example. I mean, these are the steps that we really need to take. Draghi was talking about it.
Why are we lagging behind in terms of innovation? You mentioned just one reason, but another one, it would probably be, that's a lot of people say that, over-regulation. That's what Europe is now associated with. It used to be a trendsetter, it used to be a value maker, now it's a regulation maker.
Yeah, well, innovation, we're still top on innovation on a lot of fields. If it comes to biotechnology, if it comes to energy, I mean, a lot of issues, we are top on innovation, but we lose the scale up. And this is where we have to keep the business in Europe, and that's where we're lagging behind. I agree with you. So this is where we need to look for a capital market, one market, because we are not using the 27 member states, are not using the one internal market enough. So these are all steps that we need to take. I mean, Draghi really pushed, this is the time, this mandate, the Parliament and the Commission have to deliver.
But then again, it is a talking shop. You actually mentioned Draghi report, which was my next question. Do you think it was a wake-up call, or was it not strong enough for the European Union?
I think it is a wake-up call. The question is, how do we get to the results? And I think everybody feels it. But of course, that you have the pragmatics who really like me, who really want to push for less regulation. And you have, of course, people who are more like ideologists.
How many are you? Because if you have a look, are you satisfied with the way Draghi report, his conclusions are introduced?
No,
that's the answer to the question about
this is where we
practical.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This is where we are pushing for. I mean, as European Parliament, we are pushing for deregulation. I mean, this is truly important to keep the business here and also in some way protect European business that is there and making the transition, because that's important too. I mean, we're flooded with business from outside Europe. We also have to look at how can we protect in some way our European businesses as well.
Do you know how many recommendations from Draghi report have been implemented?
No, that's a question that we ask as Parliament,
well,
because we think it's less.
I can easily answer this question.
Well,
it's about 11% of almost 400 recommendations, exactly 383 recommendations. It doesn't look impressive, does it?
No, it doesn't. And this is why we have to push as Parliament to get more results from the Commission. I see the Parliament is willing to make those steps. The Commission has to come up with the plans, and then we come back. The Member States need to implement it. I mean, the member states also have to realize that this is the only way to get growth in Europe again, to really keep the innovation here, keep the business here, but have one internal market with one regulation set.
Is it not too late?
It is not, it's never too late. I'm an optimist, but we really have to do something.
Right, your party has freedom in its name. I'd like to talk about freedom. Now, do you think freedom, is it still an attractive political message to the Europeans, to the citizens of all the member states of the European Union?
I do believe so. It's my party, so. But yes, it is.
But when you look at what's happening socially, of course, you have to believe it.
No, but
you're in this party, but what about the people?
The culture in Europe is that we strongly have freedom and democracy and rule of law in our genes. And it is, of course, that we need to show that in these uncertain times, these cultural values still needs to be held up for the people. Right. And I know it's difficult because
it seems to be weakening quite frequently.
Well, people don't realize how much freedom and how the freedom has gained in Europe. So I think it's very important that we, as politicians, keep telling on what this freedom has brought us and what it can still bring us.
What's the story that the European Union can offer its citizens today in 2025? Because far-right populists, autocrats, they deliver a fantastic story to their electorates, and they seem to be successful and growing.
Unfortunately, yes.
What's your story?
Well, our story is that Europe is still fighting. I mean, the European Union was there for freedom and security. This is still the core. By economic growth, and we have to step up on the economic growth and the innovation. And in the meantime, also take security really serious. I mean, what is happening on this continent with the war from Russia? I mean, this is really, especially here in Poland, I mean, we know how important it is to also keep our defense up. So yes, we have to bring the security to the people, but also show that the freedom of the economic values and the democracy that has brought us a lot are still the values to fight for.
That's another question about striking a balance between security and freedom. How much, in your opinion, should we be ready to give up our freedoms for the sake of security? And a simple example, freedom of speech, as we have known it for decades and decades and decades, one of the fundamentals of liberal democracy. But now when we let it loose just like this, we're actually starting to lose the cognitive war.
Yeah, we see the difficulty. I'm very much for freedom of speech, of course, as a liberal, but this is our main core value. But we see now the technologies with the internet. Yes, it's difficult. We are discussing in Europe what age should the children really are allowed to be on the internet as much. The younger age, when the brain is still developing. I mean, this is something that we are discussing. Nobody has the answer yet. So yes, we should be able to defend the freedom of speech because freedom of speech is core, but we also have to look at the negative effects of some new technologies.
What do you think about it? Do you think that we should restrict the freedom of speech in some sense, in some aspects, for the sake of security?
For a liberal, the answer would be no, but it always is, there's always a balance.
Exactly, that's what I'm asking.
But
how far are you ready to change your values, to adapt your values to the challenging times today?
Yeah, we never change our values. It's only when how wide are your values? For example, there's been for years discussion on the streets. Should you have a camera on the street for security, or is it intruding your privacy? Well, I would say it's for the security of us all. But it isn't an impediment on your personal freedom. I mean, it has always been a debate. There's always a wide and a narrow interpretation of freedom. But freedom is always where we stand for.
At all cost?
Good question. Yes, in the end, freedom is worth fighting for. So it is at all cost.
Jeannette Baljeu, thanks for joining us
on
TV
so
World. Thank you very much.
You.